So tell us something that you've been through that people would never guess.
Oh, that one's easy. Hey, so people are very surprised to learn that I was actually extremely shy, extremely scared of being on camera, extremely scared of just using my voice in general, of speaking up at all. Because now they see me speaking on stages, being on podcasts, teaching others about visibility, about being comfortable on camera, about clarifying your message. And they're like, that's incongruent. What do you mean? But because I've healed that wound and because I've learned to break through that, it's why it makes me the best teacher to teach others, because I know what it feels like to be terrified of pressing record and being on camera.
I love that. And just so you guys know, the reason that Sonia Tapia, a brand photographer and now a
Brand strategy coach,
is one of our guests here at Rooted and Worked, is because in the conversations we've had, she has always shared these little glimpses, these little stories of where she was to where she is today. And I felt that more women, more entrepreneurs out there need to really listen to her story and her journey, because again, we're not alone. We just simply don't voice out the ugliness or the raw journey that we go through to become successful in our own businesses. And success can be identified so different for everyone else, for everybody in our journey. So with that, thank you, Sonia, for being here. I really appreciate you being a guest at Rooted in North. The goal of the podcast is really for us to understand and listen to each other's journeys so that we can relate and understand that what we're going through, it's okay. It's good. It's a season. It'll pass. But take us back to the beginning when you mentioned that you were not comfortable in camera. What was that like?
It started manifesting itself once I started my business. I used to be a W-2. I was an employee for a long time, and I didn't have to be on camera and brand myself and market and do all these things. I just wanted to take pretty pictures. And I learned very quickly that my little circle of friends and family was a great launch pad to start a business, like great word of mouth referrals in that space. But that started to run dry. Just because I wasn't known to anybody outside of my immediate circle. I was in marketing. I was in attending events.
Going to be a business though?
Oh yeah, I was already in business. I hung up my open sign. I was like, yeah, everybody's asking me for photos. Great. And then it was like crickets. It was like, oh, where's all? I already photographed everybody.
Yeah.
Now what? So then through learning and growing, I realized that, oh, I am actually a personal brand. I didn't have a concept of what that was. I've been in business for almost 14 years. So in the beginning, I had no idea what a personal brand was. And now I know, just if you're a service-based business and you're the face of your brand, you're the service provider, people need to trust you, right? They need to know you. They need to trust you. We've all heard that. But I couldn't do that hiding behind the camera.
Got it.
I had to be in front, and that was terrifying.
So you basically started practicing what you preach?
Very slowly and begrudgingly, yeah.
And I think we all find ourselves like that, right? We're like, oh, you got to do this. You have to do to the client. But I think that also the client senses that we're not congruent with that message. And so you learned that very early on.
I did. And it still took me years to embrace it. I still didn't get in front of the camera. I dabbled here and there. I would show pictures of my clients and maybe a little behind the scenes where I quickly passed through the camera. But I never had the boldness and the bravery to just press record and start speaking to camera.
So take us to that moment. How did you find that Sonia's identity and that voice? So take us down that journey.
It wasn't even business related. I went down the path of, through various life circumstances, of mindset and personal development work, just to improve myself, to grow. I didn't realize it would take me down a path of learning to be visible and healing that. So branding myself, being on camera, speaking out loud about my business, promoting myself, went against everything I grew up with, everything I learned in my upbringing. I'm a first-gen college graduate, My parents are immigrants from Mexico, and for many years they were undocumented. So I grew up with, and I was born here, and actually didn't even learn English until about the 3rd or 4th grade because we only spoke Spanish at home. And I learned there was an underlying, it wasn't expressed in words. I knew my parents were undocumented, and I knew we did certain things to not call attention to ourselves.
Yeah.
They have such immense work ethic, and they just, basically I learned is just stay quiet, don't rock the boat, don't call attention to yourself. Just work really hard. In my case, work really hard in school, get good grades, and head down, lock in, do your things, and we'll be okay. No one's going to tear us apart. No, nothing's going to happen. Just stay quiet. Be invisible, basically. And I was. In school, the teachers would write, when in elementary school, they would write, Sonia's very bright, but she doesn't speak up. She doesn't raise her hand. She doesn't make noise. And because I wanted to be invisible.
Yeah.
You know, leave me alone. And then fast forward, when I start a business, now I'm learning through various courses and coaches, it's, oh, you have to be loud, you have to talk to people, you have to be on camera, you have to make noise, you have to stand out. It was like, no, that's not safe.
Yeah.
I'm not safe doing that. What do you mean? So it took me a very long time to embrace that. It wasn't until I hit that point where it was more painful to not brand myself because I really wanted my business to work. It was everything. I left everything that was important career-wise to me to launch my business. And being stubborn, it's like, no, this is going to work. Then I finally said, okay, I'm going to do whatever I need to do. How does this shit work? And I finally started getting into that, but I didn't do it alone. I did it through coaching and other people that have been down that path to kind of guide me and honestly push me. Yeah.
And I know those are all very vulnerable moments, but I think that we relate. For a long time, I've always said I've never felt that, I was born here as well, that had any doing with who I am, right? Because I didn't see the connection. And it's hard for us to sometimes see the connection. But through work and the right coaches and things like that, it drills down and you're like, what? What do you mean that when I was 3 years old, that Christmas, when that happened, or when my parents came home and said, oh yeah, the migrant showed up at work, and like that fear, like that it also, because we have no understanding of what's happening, that it affects us, right? And like you said, you learn to just, I didn't want to say hide ourselves, but you not rock the boat. You just kind of live life and you go to school and you work, and that's what you're supposed to do. But when we decide to be entrepreneurs, because we know that there's a better life or we can actually chase our dreams, all of this stuff starts to come up. The behavior of the household, how our parents behaved, how the family, whatever was going on in the family. And then all of a sudden you start to see how it's affecting your growth, your business, the woman that you are today, your family. And it's, you start to realize that it just continues to bleed over. And you're like, wait a minute, this has to stop today.
Yeah.
But it's through that awakening and through all of that work and those exercises that.
Yeah. Lots of dark nights of the soul.
It is, but I think it's also, for me, it was very intriguing.
Yeah.
A lot of the work that I've done was not because I felt that there was something wrong. There's something wrong, right? But it was for the business. Again, the same thing. We couldn't afford for the business to fail. It's all of the oldest sisters are in the business. We're on the boat here. We cannot fail, right? And so doing some of that work was really to avoid that failure, to avoid us starting something that couldn't support all of us. So there was no room for failure. We had to make this work.
Yeah.
And so that pressure is what led me to hire my first coach, teach me how to sell. And then it was like, okay, I'll teach you how to sell, but tell me about this and tell me about that. I was like, wait, what does that have to do with this? And she goes, a lot. Your personal life has a lot to do with your business life, whether you want to realize that or not. Being so logical, I fought it tooth and nail. And then little by little, I started to chip away at that wall, because it is a wall that we build to protect ourselves.
Yes.
And so did our parents, right? And so the whole household, without realizing it, started to build these walls, right? So Take us back to, again, that journey. You mentioned that there was this point where you're like, I've got to do the work or start to heal and work through all of this. How long was that process?
Yeah, I have to say there's a lot of parallels with my journey of growth and expansion, because the help that I sought out in terms of coaches and classes I took and mentorship, it was all for the business. It was like, if I just had the right strategy, I could do 1, 2, 3 and things would be amazing. I just need to tweak a few things. And as I encountered my coaches, they want to take it back to my trauma and my personal life and my mindset. It's like, what does that have to do with it? Just tell me what to do with the business. So I also fought it tooth and nail until I realized, okay, let me give this a chance, because if I'm paying for a coach, if I'm investing time, this is a person I respect and has obviously done the thing I want to do at a higher level.
Yes.
So I'm going to model my behavior.
The trigger word you said is traumas.
Yeah.
I have no traumas. What do you mean?
Yeah, I was. And other people.
In trauma.
Exactly. I had a great childhood. I did not associate trauma to my life.
Correct.
At all.
Yes.
And there's different levels of trauma, obviously, for different people.
Yeah.
The way it feels in your body and the way it manifests in your life, it can be just as impactful. It doesn't matter from the outsiders what other people considered. Oh, that wasn't so bad, or it's what you felt in your body at the time that made an imprint.
The story I like to share with clients when we talk about things like that, for me, it was a lot of the self-worth, right? And yes, I'm a confident person. Put me in my zone of genius and I can control the floor, right? But it had nothing to do with that. And that's why I couldn't relate to that word trauma or to doing even those exercises. But in playing full out, because I'm like, okay, like you said, I'm trusting the experts that I'm hiring and they know something that I don't know. So I'm going to play full out. And one of the exercises that we were doing, what came up for me was a little girl, right? A little girl at Christmas and opening her present. And I must have been, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. And opening up her present and seeing that I got Payless shoes. Nothing wrong with that. So what I wore. But my cousin, who's a boy, same age, grandma got him Nikes, and not just 1 pair, but 2 pairs. And the jeans, like the whole ensemble of what back then was like name brand stuff, right? And I only got the Payless, maybe Ross or something like that kind of a thing, right? And so even though I was grateful, you just start to, over time, realize like, why does he get Nike and stuff and I don't? So it was those little things. And over time, those little incidents became part of my self-worth. I'm just not worthy of receiving that stuff. And so I don't know about with your family, but in mine, women, like Hispanic cultures, women are just always seem to be less than the men. And so I just grew up thinking that's just the way it was. Fast forward to our life today, and that little girl and those little moments of unworthiness are still all inside of us, inside of me. And that's where those insecurities really coming from. And so I would have never labeled that as trauma, but it did record in me that unworthiness.
Yes.
And that's where I tell people, you will find things about yourself that you would have never thought is what recorded at that day, at that time. And it's why today you're going through what you're going through. It doesn't have to be this horrible thing, but it is also a meaningful moment, especially for that child at that point in their life.
Yeah.
So do you have a similar journey like that in those moments?
For me, one of my core wounds was more, not so much not being worthy. I was very fortunate. My dad had a lot of sisters back in Mexico, and they were professionals. They went to university, and nobody here in the States. He's the only one in the family that's here. So I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't actually realize it until I was an adult, that he had this belief in me. No, you're the one. You're good. Any space is for you, which is very unheard of for Latino culture. And I also felt I don't know if I was told this or I interpreted it as such. I interpreted that I was going to be the savior of the family because I didn't know we were poor. growing up. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, 4 of us, very small place, and we never moved. And I didn't realize it was because my parents wanted me to go to a specific school because it was a good school. As far as public schools go, it was a good school. And they just wanted to be in the neighborhood so I could go there. So it became a responsibility that, oh, I'm the one that's supposed to go to college. I'm the one that's supposed to get my family out of poverty. I didn't know we were poor because I didn't realize we were poor until I met my husband in high school and I started going to his family home. I was like, oh, these people have these big, beautiful homes. Is that how people live? We only kept to my family. Yeah. So I was like, oh, shoot, I think we're poor. Yeah. You start seeing the differences, right? Because my mom never let me go to sleepovers or anything like that to other people's homes. So I wasn't exposed to that. So it became like, okay, I'm supposed to go to college. That was always ingrained in me. The how wasn't, you figure it out. I don't know, but you're going to college, you're going to get a good job, and then you made it. And so it became like, okay, my parents made all these sacrifices. They worked all these jobs. They stayed in this little apartment for me. And it became like the heaviness of, it's up to me. I can't fuck this up. Yeah. So I did what I was told. I went to university, and I'm grateful that they ingrained that in me. I got the job. I got the good paying. I got promoted. I did all the goody two-shoes. I did the things that they told me to do. And then I found myself, because my career actually went to university for information technology. And I worked in that space for about a decade. And as I got promoted, I got more in the back of dealing with the computers, just dealing with people, dealing with the systems. And it was 2 o'clock in the morning in downtown LA one day in the data center, which is just a room full of computers, fixing whatever was wrong by myself. And I was on the verge of tears. I was like, did I make it? Is this what I'm supposed to be happy? Yeah, like, did I do it? They're proud of me. But the concept of, hey, do what you love, enjoy your work. Yeah. It was not ever in my consciousness or a discussion that was had. It was just like, get the job, get the money. Yeah. Don't work as hard as I do physically. Yeah. Work with your mind. And that was the burden for me. Because at some point when I started my business, I had to step away from that and feel like the weight of, I'm about to disappoint everybody, but I was suffocating. Yeah. I couldn't do it anymore. And to start my own business, it took a lot of courage to
that courage. You don't understand how many people, and especially in my line of work with the clients that I meet, who are successful in that. Yeah. But inside, they're slowly just dying. I'm like, this isn't life. Life can be beautiful, fulfilling. Yes, I'm not saying it's easy, but pick your heart, right? It's hard to be like that. It's going to be hard to really try to make it out on your own. But you will find so much more joy when you're doing, like you said, what you really want to do versus what you're being told to do, or at least what you think you're supposed to be doing. But you did it. And I know that most of the time when we talk about that journey, that transition from being W-2 to self-employed, you literally go from getting a paycheck to a decent. And I think that's the heaviness that a lot of the people who want to transition find themselves in, or have this little side hustle. Because I don't know if yours was ever a little side hustle.
It
where
was
you're like,
in the beginning.
Yeah, the side hustle. But you're like, the side hustle can really be successful and
Yeah.
you can make a living out of it if you just give it what it wants, which is 100% of your time.
Yeah.
So did you have that experience as well, where it's like a side hustle?
Yes. So I was, I think, in functional depression. I wasn't diagnosed, but now looking back, wow, that was,
yeah.
I was just living a hypnotic, numb life, like go to work, do the things, robotically doing life. And it was numbing.
Yeah.
And I think the universe put photography in front of me and said, oh, there's a camera. What's this? Picked it up, fell in love with it as a hobby.
Yeah.
Pictures of my puppies and flowers. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. I never wanted to do photography, never was exposed to it. And I just fell in love with it, like as a fun outlet to get away from the work heaviness, right? And then I found when you love something, you find others that are in that space. I found a school that's no longer there in Covina that was a photography school. I started taking classes. So hey, it consumed me.
Because you love.
I loved it. Like I ate and slept and dreamt of photography. I wanted to just download everything about it, right? It was like, it brought me so much joy. I felt awake. Oh, this can be life. Oh my God, this is so joyful. So as I learned and I met more people and I started helping others that were more experienced and moving through that, I started doing it as a weekend warrior side hustle on the weekend. So I started helping some other photographers with their weddings and things. I was like, perfect, I'll go to work and I'll suffer the week at work, my 9 to 5. And then on the weekend, I get to go and take pictures and just be a photographer.
Yeah.
I did that for a little while. And then I came across a person who's now a very dear friend. And we were both pretty green. And we're like, let's start a wedding photography business together. Yay. Because neither one of us knew what the heck we were doing business-wise. Photography, yes, business-wise. We got together. We said, okay, we're starting a business. And quickly learned, photography is only about 20% of what we do. The rest is contracts and invoices and all this other,
Yeah.
But I loved it enough that I told my husband, I was already married at the time, I told my husband, you know what, I really think I could do something with this. I felt alive when I still do, doing photography. And he knew how miserable I was at work. So it was either find another job in IT or pursue this thing. And it took me a long time too, because of the weight of disappointing my family. And it wasn't just me that worked so hard in college. I felt like everybody worked so hard their whole life to get me to get that degree and the job. And stepping away from that, it wasn't the job that I was stepping away from. It was my identity, who I had been. So finally, with this, my husband's very supportive. We made a plan. It took me a year to leave the job. We made a financial plan and put money away, and then whatever side hustle money I got, I put it away for equipment and things I was going to need. And then I did leave not just my job, my career.
Yeah.
I left that after probably 14 years, the 4 years of college, and then actually working. And I hid that away. Completely closed that door. I didn't even leave it open. It was like, no, not looking back. And launched the business. That's how it started. I no longer do weddings, but that was my first iteration of photography. I have reinvented the business 6, 7, 8 times in these years, but that's how it started.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So you just made a really good segue to my next question, which is talk about that journey of you rebranding your business. How many times? And did anything ever want to stop you and you're just like, I give this up? Or did you just go to rebranding?
Several times a day. I think as entrepreneurs would question, why am I doing this again? This sucks. I'm going to go get a job again.
Yeah.
And then, no.
Yes.
Yeah, my first iteration of business photography was weddings, and actually did that for about 8 years. And
which is a long time.
It's a long time. Yeah, and there was a lot of trial and error. And a lot of seasons of feast and a lot of seasons of famine.
Yeah.
Where it was crickets. And now, in retrospect, I see it wasn't because it was seasonal. It wasn't anything external. It was all my mindset, where I was energetically, my frequency was, I was still very much in scarcity, and I hadn't done any work on myself.
Yes.
So there was towards the end of the wedding photography business, I had already been feeling back to being numb a little bit. And that was my signal. First, I have too much integrity to show up to somebody's wedding not feeling like fully alive to be there.
Yeah.
This is their most important day of their life, probably, to date. And for the most of my career there, I showed up fully enthusiastic, fully just embracing the day and just full of joy. And when I started not feeling that, it's like, this is a clue for me to either take a pause or regroup, do something, because this is not right. I never want to show up like that. Oh, another thing to do, putting up my camera. No, I need to be fully in it. So I went back to that functional depression kind of feeling, oh no. But this time I learned from experience, not because I had felt that before. And now I know that's my intuition. One of my patterns that I am actively working on repatterning is I have a tendency to stay in places and situations too long. Just because I made the commitment, because I'm not a quitter, because I need to get through. Yeah. Situations, jobs, relationships, commitments I made. And now it's like I'm learning to give myself full permission to change my mind or see it like, okay, I think follow the guidelines that the universe is whispering.
Yeah.
A little, hey, go this way, go that way. Nope, don't do that. And learning to see, okay, what do I actually have capacity for and what actually feels aligned and harmonious to everybody, not just me, everyone involved, right? So I decided to walk away from the wedding business.
Okay.
But I still wanted to be in photography. And that took a lot because I was award winning. I had worldwide awards. I was known as a wedding, especially in the photography. I had a little bit of a reputation for locally, oh, she's Sonia, she speaks here and she does that. So letting go of that, another time, letting go of that identity of, oh, I'm not a wedding photographer anymore.
Yeah.
What the hell am I? If I left my career to become a wedding photographer and now I don't want to be that anymore, then who the hell am I?
Yeah.
So it took there was about almost a year where I was fulfilling my commitments because your weddings kind of book out about a year in advance. But I wasn't accepting new bookings. I was like, I need to figure this shit out. Excuse my French, but I need to figure this is not, who am I? My existential experience. And I said, okay, let me find other genres to do because I love photography and I want to continue doing this. I just don't want to do the genre. And a lot of it was burnout, Suhei. A lot of it, now I recognize it because I was working Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They were 14-hour days sometimes, back to back. I was missing my own family's events and things to be in other people's. And I was fine with it until I wasn't. My connection with my husband was suffering from it because we were on different schedules, and so it just wasn't aligned anymore. Yeah. I started poking around as I always do. Okay, I try not to get stuck on how do I do this and what do I do next. I tend to gravitate towards who do I know that can help me. Okay. I want to collapse time. That's why I always have a mentor and a coach.
Collapse time.
Yeah. It's like, who do I ask? Who has done the thing I want to do? I don't just ask random people that have never done the thing, right? I think that's a mistake a lot of us make. We start asking family, we start people who have never had a business or done sales or whatever you're trying to do. It's don't ask somebody who's never done it. Ask people who are performing at a higher level than where you want to get to. If they're willing to coach you and mentor you and teach you. Smart. Yeah. Yeah. I sought out first online classes and then I found a mentor. I tried different genres, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. A lot of no. And then I discovered something called personal brand photography. This was like in 2018. Okay. And I was like, what is that? I kind of knew personal branding now because I realized that I was a brand and I needed to be on camera and market myself. But I didn't know what personal brand photography was. It was still kind of new. And I learned it's really working with businesses and entrepreneurs to help them create images to help them for their marketing, for their own branding. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I've had to do that for myself. I'd be cool to help others. Yeah. And I found a coach. I went to an intensive workshop in San Francisco to learn from one of my coaches, changed my life. I was like, this is what I want to be when I grow up. Oh my gosh, this is it. I found my thing. Oh my gosh. I don't know how to start this business. My client base is completely, like the only thing that was the same was me and I have a camera. The whole back end of the business was completely different. Yeah. Nothing to do with weddings. So I had to start from scratch. Learn the business learn contracts. Who am I talking to? Build a client base. It was like I had to interact with completely different people and just burned it down and started from scratch. Started fresh and it felt so good. Yeah. It felt really good.
I like the fact that you keep mentioning things that just weren't aligned, right? Mm-hmm. Or you weren't afraid to just keep looking. Yeah. Because I think that a lot of the burnout I see is they feel that's it, like they're stuck. That's all they're meant to do. That's, goes back to that career. It's, oh my gosh, you left a W-2 job where you were miserable just to create a business that you're miserable in. Like, it just makes no sense.
But it took years to become miserable. Yeah. It was fun in the beginning.
Makes no sense, right? But when you start to really scratch the surface and start asking more meaningful questions, we really start to figure out who are we? Yes. What lights us up? And in a previous episode, that was one of the main questions I said. It was like, who am I? Like, that's really the part that got me more interested in self-development. Because how can I not know, like, who am I? What I like to do? because I felt that I was lost in, obviously you grow up and you do everything for everybody else. So I learned to be who they needed me to be. But that's not who I was. And then I got married very young, and my son was born at 24, and I dated his dad. And so you're just like, was that really me? No, I wanted you show up to date somebody, but you want to do what they do because you're interested in that person. And so before you know it, I got lost in being that person where I wanted to be somebody that he liked because I like what he likes. And then the kids are born, and then the kids are like, we want to do this and we want to do that. And so then you become what they need you to be. And so here you are in your 40s, and you're like, someone's asking me, who am I? And I'm like, I don't freaking know who I am. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I like. And so going through those exercises of figuring out what really fires you up and what really you enjoy to do for yourself and nobody else was a difficult little bit of a journey, because you're like, do I really like that kind of food, or did I just eat it because that's what they used to love to go eat?
Yeah.
So you start to figure out all of that part of who you are. And so you going through that evolution of, okay, you thought you were a wedding photographer, and it lit you up for a long time.
And my ego was wrapped up around that identity.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, we are human, living, breathing creatures, and we are allowed to evolve and to change and to have fall seasons and winter seasons and all of that beauty that we see in our world. So it's hard for us to accept it, but in reality, that's what you were going through, right? This served you, and it was what you loved to do for a long time, but you're evolving into a different person now, and it's okay to transition.
Yeah.
And so now you're a personal brand photographer, and then you've had other growth from that as well?
Yeah. Once I learned the business of, and I was all in. It was like when I first found photography, I wanted to sleep it, eat it, breathe it. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Yeah, it was exciting to, aside from grow the business, I think that's the point where I really started stepping in front of the camera to brand myself. And that took immense growth. I was working with a coach at the time, and she was pretty new at it, and that was one of my first coaches in the personal development space. So we're both green. And I worked with her for a year or two on the business, strategy, this and that, implementing, and things were stop and go. And I just like, why is this not working? What is this? I'm doing the things, I'm putting the effort, I'm hustling, I'm all the things. And towards the end of our term together, I was having some personal issues. I had been in marriage, in life, in family. And I thanked her for helping me, and it was the end. It was a renewal time, and I said, okay, I'm going to move on. And I did mention that I was having some, and she was like, oh, you never shared that with me. That would have made all the difference. I was like, how? How does my personal life affect my business? What? So that was a launch pad for me to not just grow professionally on the business of and how to perfect the lighting and the posing and how to market, but I went down the path of, let me figure out who I am. I remember distinctly, I was in my old house. I've always woken up early, so I'm a 4 a.m. waker-upper.
Oh my gosh.
Now I'm 5 a.m., but before I would just wake up. I think it was perimenopause. And I had a cat, my Max at the time, and he always would join me. He would just sit on the counter next to me while I was drinking coffee. And I remember just hearing a whisper, not literally, but it was a thought or universe whispering, say, remember who you are. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? Remember who I am.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense to me, but it was there. It was constantly there. So I followed it. I said, okay, I don't know who I am. I'm going to try to remember or find out. I don't know what you mean by remember, and I remembered. It's taken a very long time. A lot of unpacking, a lot of reinventing, a lot of burning down and building from scratch. But that led me down a path of the first personal development teacher I had was Tony Robbins.
Okay.
And one of my main ones. I would say he changed my life, but it was really because I did the work.
Yes.
I invested my time and I said, I'm going all in.
Yes. I love
and just doing it and see what happens. And when I discovered shadow and darkness and hard things, I go all in away from it. I'm not like, oh no, I don't want to see that. I don't want to talk about that. No, it's like, let's see what's in there.
Yeah.
Because I'm tired of this other shit and I don't want to go back there. Let's go in, extract it, fix it. In my head, that was like, control it, fix it, do something with it, but let's look at it.
Yeah.
And that self-awareness in a lot of aspects of life, good and bad, shining the light on things, has made all the difference. Because I think a lot of these things start with self-awareness, whether it's bringing more joy to your life or removing things that don't serve you. But if you're not aware, if not willing to look at it, then it stays there until it gangrenes, and life will force you to look at it at some point or another. So you might as well take the initiative to look at it and make it better if you can.
I love how you said you put the time, right? Because coaches are guides that will help us along the way, but we still have to do the work. And I think life does the same thing, right? It's guiding us, but we still have to do the work. Like we have these internal callings, we know where we feel good and where we don't, but we still have to do the work. We have to step in through those doors and do the work that is required to feel good, right? But in that tone, can you share with us, is there such a thing as work-life balance? People will always ask, how do I make my personal, or as a mom, or as a wife, or as a friend, how do I make all that personal life fit in with the business? Is there a work-life balance in that sense?
It's funny you say that because I'm a Libra. So technically I'm looking for, I think that's impossible. Yeah. I don't go for balance anymore. I go for alignment. I go for harmony. Yes. And there's the wheel of life, right? Family, intimate relationships, health, all the things, business, your community. And some things will need your attention more heavily in seasons, and others you just maintain and then you switch. So there's never a balance. Yeah. It's like a moving target. It's alive, it's fluid. So it's more finding alignment. Okay, right now, my business, for example, needs me, if there's 100% of you, it needs 65% of my attention. Yeah. That doesn't mean if you have small children that you care for, parents that are sick or whatnot, of course you need to take care of that. But there may be other things that you press pause, I'll come back to you, or you give little bits and pieces that what do you have capacity for? Yeah. So to me, alignment is I'm constantly questioning, how does this feel? Yeah. How does this feel?
I love that you say that, because I was able to picture, like you said, that wheel of all our life, right? All our pie of all the spaces that we need to be in, and understand that it is fluid, and none of it, I think it's impossible to think that you're always going to have a great balance of
equal parts
and percentages, because 100% is 100%, and there's no way that we could really do that realistically. And I think that in the last few years, we've had this concept and this idea that's what we're after, and so we get disappointed because it really doesn't exist.
It's a recipe for failure. You'll never
really
get there.
Is. And a couple of years ago, I had to really sit with myself. I would always label myself as a bad mom. And I'm like, I'm just a bad mom. And my kids are like, why do you say that? You're great. But it was one of these things because I was holding an expectation to be, say, like my mom, right? Or like the mom in the movie where you see them doing it. Wait, that's not realistic. Yeah. They are not building a business and running an empire or being the main breadwinner or having these other responsibilities, these other aspirations. And so you really start to pause and say, why am I comparing myself to somebody who has a totally different life from beginning to end? They just have different tools, or maybe they have different dreams too. You know, they do have different dreams. And you're like, why am I comparing myself to that person? My mom loves to be in the kitchen. I don't know if that really, it seems like it's her happy place. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's where she thrives. She's not even done eating like breakfast or lunch or breakfast, and she's already talking about what are we making for lunch. And it's like,
Yum.
Mom, I'm not even done eating my breakfast. And then she'll be like, yeah, but I got to get ready for, it's like she cleans up breakfast
Yeah.
and then starts cooking lunch, right? And then we're eating lunch and she's already talking about dinner. And I'm just like, my tummy's full. Who has time to even think about your next meal? But that is her, like, that's her happy place. And that's not my happy place. I can cook. Doesn't mean I like to cook.
Yeah.
So you won't find me cooking in the kitchen. Yes, if I have to, I will, because I can. But it's not where I thrive. And that's not my happy place. So you're not going to see me excited to talk about what are we going to make for breakfast or lunch or whatever. So I found that I was comparing myself to something that was unrealistic. And so I know that as entrepreneurs, I may see you and be like, man, Sonia is so put together. She just always looks so vibrant and blah, blah, blah. But again, why do we do that and compare ourselves to somebody else when we really don't know what's going on behind the scenes?
Right.
We didn't realize your rebranding, or when you were doing your weddings, that you were starting to find a place where you weren't as happy, but yet you still did a great job.
Yeah.
But you were looking and you found a new way of bringing your business back and reinventing it. And so now, where are you at with your business? Because now you added strategist coach,
Yes.
brand strategy coach.
Yes. So I think I'm in the best place now in this season, 14, 15 years in of my photography business. It feels like a true reflection of who I am and my journey.
I love that.
Yeah, because now I feel like I'm bringing not just my own lived experience as an entrepreneur, and I can offer that to my clients because I only work with business owners and professionals. I'm also bringing earned wisdom. No, don't do it like that. Or, oh, you need this, I have a resource for you. And I can be that for them. So right now I've been working in the San Gabriel Valley area, Inland Empire area for a while now, and built my network, made a lot of friendships. I'm part of various organizations that support business owners, chambers and networking organizations and women's groups. Built a beautiful community, not just of potential clients, but I'm surrounded, my peers are all business owners. Almost most of my friends are business owners now. And that was very intentional, to build my peer group of people that are either a couple chapters behind me on their journey, and a lot of people that are ahead of me that I can look up to. So I can always reach out a hand and say, hey, can you help me? And I can reach back and say, hey, do you need help? Do you need a resource? Do you need something? And the people I get to work with are amazing. I'm in awe of my clients, and I'm so inspired by them. A lot of them are in my age group, late 40s, early 50s, and they're women that are rediscovering themselves. I know how that feels. They've raised their kids. They launched the birds off to college. They're off to do their own thing. They've been able to redirect their attention to their business and growing multiple businesses like you. And it's exciting times for them. So I get to support them in that, to help guide them. Okay, this is what I've learned in my journey, not just through books, not just through classes, but lived experience. And it's fun. It's fun. I love it.
It lit you up. But I think that you bring out the best in your clients and all of us. I've taken several photos with you, but I think that the whole time is like, you're the professional, but at the same time, you relate. And so I think that's the part that we are, like, Sonia's just like us, and she understands our hesitations, or she understands our hesitations in front of the camera, but you also know what we're trying to achieve for the business, right? And so that's what I think makes you such an expert in what you do, because you're able to get us comfortable behind the camera to get the results that we really want or need for that purpose. And if you haven't seen her work, it's amazing. And how you're able to shift it from client to client is also a talent that I see the things you post, and I'm like, man, that's totally different from the other clients. So it's like, it goes back to, I'm looking at from your work, but now the client has it through their lens. That's identifying who they are. And that's why the pictures are different. They don't look the same.
Oh, thank you for that.
Because they're not the same.
It's not cookie cutter. All of my sessions start with and this is the beautiful thing in my own journey that's a reflection. So I start with strategy. I don't start with what are you going to wear? How's your hair going to be? That's where we get to play dress up. That's the last decision we make. That's the fun. It's strategy. Why? There's obviously a reason why you came to me. What are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to launch? Are you trying to scale? What are your marketing campaigns? What are your promotion? What do you have going on in your marketing ecosystem that I can help you with and give you ideas on how to use your images, not just take them for you. So it starts with that. And the part that I'm excited about is that is a newer addition to my business, because as I was evolving, as I was remembering who I was, who I am, and it's ongoing, I'll forget and I'll remember again. It was more about confidence and feeling comfortable on camera, because I knew what that felt like.
Yeah.
I always tell my clients, I know what this feels like. I've been on camera. I have felt uncomfortable, and I'm not asking you to do anything I haven't done myself.
Got it. That's awesome.
So I remember some clients are like, I'm okay on camera. Just tell me if I look good. Okay. And some are like, they walk into the studio like they're getting a root canal at the dentist office, and they're like, I'm here, I need pictures, but I don't really want my pictures taken. So I guide them through that because I have felt that.
Yeah.
And I remember it in my gut what it feels like. So to me, we turn on the music, we have conversation. By the end of the session, everybody's laughing, having a good old time. They don't even want to leave.
Yeah.
And that's, okay, I did it. But that's the energetic part of it.
You're making people feel comfortable.
Yeah, that's the relational. So it's not just, oh, they're comfortable and we're friends now. It's like that part of you that took off the mask now shows on camera, the real you, the authentic you. Not the performative, that I need to show up in a certain polished, whatever way they have in their head. They can just be.
Yeah.
And now pairing that with the strategy of branding, of marketing, of how to implement these images to actually scale and grow your business, that is the magic formula that now I feel like I'm really in my element.
Yeah.
So in my personal development, weaving that, I know we haven't really talked about this, but the feminine and masculine energy, the feminine is the being, the allowing the intuition to lead, the beauty, the creation, where the masculine brings in the structure and the framework and the action. And I'm still learning to weave it, but I feel like I'm grasping it. Being able to weave those things into business has really energetically opened up the doors. The clients I'm attracting now, I feel like they feel that.
Yeah. And I think that's very important. I know it's crazy. We can do a series of podcasts that have to do with our personal work, and it talks about those energies, right? But I want to touch on that just a little bit in the sense of, as entrepreneurs, we tend, and women, right? Women entrepreneurs, because business is so masculine, we tend to become really hard and lean towards the masculine side just because we want a successful business. We do.
Yeah.
But what it's also doing, there's the imbalance, because you're also forgetting that we have the feminine side, and men do too, right? And that's why sometimes men are miserable as well, not just women.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to say that I only work and coach with women, because I see it in men. Because remember, as a tax planning, I have both men and female entrepreneur business owners, and it's so hard and crazy to see a male, of a man that is successful and has running a business, and you see the heaviness that he carries, and as soon as it starts to poke, he breaks down, and he's the weight that he carries, right? And you're just like, holy crap, they also have a heaviness that they carry because they're not aligned with the feminine side of it, right? And it's affecting their marriage, and it's affecting their family and their employees, and you're just like, this is everywhere. We have forgotten this whole entrepreneur or business way of doing business here in the US has made it so heavy on the masculine side that we have forgotten about the feminine. And now that we're reconnecting with the feminine, especially once you start to do the work, is really where the joy comes from.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, I did not know that it could feel this good to wake up every day and go to work and do what you love and have the life that you've dreamt of, or that happiness, that fulfillment that you have inside, and then it shows up. You glow different.
Yes, I love that. You glow different.
You do.
And I think too, not vilifying the masculine side. Because yes, as women, I think it's the toxic things that we learn without realizing. It's the, okay, you have to hustle, you have to grind, there's no room for failure, you just do it until you break down, right?
Yeah.
And it's so predictable, but we don't see it when we're in it. Like, you're going straight into burnout.
Yeah.
And I know because I've crashed and burned so many times. And it's like, why do I keep hitting my head? I keep tripping on the same rock. What is happening? It was because of my energy, the way I was doing things. There was no balance. Just go, don't pause, go. And it's toxic.
Yeah.
And now I'm like embracing, okay, what are the masculine energies I want to embrace?
Yeah.
I hate to admit, because most people don't, I like structure.
Yeah, and that's fine.
I like systems. I like having a framework. I like having consistency.
Yeah.
It brings me safety, and it gives me freedom to do the things I love, my more feminine side of just like, how does this feel? Do I want to go this way? Do I want to just flow? Do I want to rest? Do I want to make it pretty? The other side of this, I don't want to call it softness, because it's not, because I think feminine energy it can be fire.
It could be fierce.
But in this case, to soften the hard edges a little bit and then make them more fluid. I think being fluid, being aligned more. Let's flow like water and not be rigid, like steel.
I think, honestly, if all entrepreneurs embraced a little bit more of that feminine side.
Oh, yeah. It'd be so fun.
Not just fun, but they would attract more clients.
Yes.
I think that connection is what we are now missing. AI is great, but there's no way that AI can make us feel connected in the way that another human being can. And we have also forgotten how to connect, or we've gotten, again, so much in the business and the success, which is great. But at the end of the day, if you can connect with your clients, if you can connect with your employees, with your spouse, with your loved ones, it makes such a huge difference in that fulfillment and that joy that it brings. And it sounds crazy to say it this way, but there's a point in my life where it feels like the book just closed, like that chapter's done. And then you're like, man, how did I live without like what I know now?
It was life before and life after.
Yeah, it's like all these, that's why they say it's chapters.
Yeah.
Like that chapter, I didn't know what I know now, and you keep moving forward. And a lot of the times people will ask me, and I'm sure you mentioned our age, and they're like, man, I wish I would have known this sooner. And I'm like, no, you're not supposed to know this sooner. I'm trying to teach this to my 24-year-old son, and he's like, Mom, blah, blah, blah.
He's not able to receive it right now.
He's not able to receive it. Life hasn't taught him what he needs to learn and the journey he needs to go through in order to embrace this wisdom. That's why a lot of us are waking up now when we're in our 40s, entering our 50s. And because now is the time to really put all of that wisdom to work.
Exactly.
But it's the most beautiful time.
It is. The most liberating time. It can be.
Yes.
I think it does take a certain level, again, of self-awareness and willingness to look at the hard parts, of the uncomfortable parts. Because if you're not willing, then you don't grow. You just kind of stay where you are and keep living.
Pick your heart.
Yeah.
Pick your heart. So thank you for being here with us today. I really want people to find you. So share with us, how can we find you? You mentioned your work, and I want to put some links there to show people and showcase your work, because I think it's very unique and nothing looks the same, which again is, you go to a photographer and you tend to kind of see, oh, okay, this is the style that they do. And with you, you bring out the style of the client so much that nothing is the same. So I would love for people to be able to find you, locate you, use you to create some amazing photos.
Oh, thank you for that. I'd love for your audience to follow me on Instagram. I'm at Sonia Tapia Branding, and I'm sure you'll put it in the show notes. I'm also active on LinkedIn, and that's where they can find all of my latest work.
I love that. As we wrap up today's show and bring it to an end, I would love to ask you one final question. What's one practical tip that you can give all our listeners, an entrepreneur out there who's just feeling overwhelmed where they're at today?
I'd give you a list of 10 today, but you want me to pick one. It's going back to what we talked about, not asking, what do I need to do? How do I need to do it? What are all the steps required? Sometimes we think we have to climb up the mountain and know all the steps. You don't. and then we feel stuck and overwhelmed. It's like, you just need to know the next step. So I would say ask, who do I need to connect with to get out of this? Who do I need to ask a question of? Who do I need to mentor with? Who do I need to take a class from? Who can I take out for coffee that is, they don't have to be a PhD level expert. They could just be 2 chapters ahead of you in the space where you're struggling, and ask for help. That's it. You don't have to figure it out by yourself.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you, because we both shared bits and pieces of our journey, but we didn't do it alone.
Exactly.
We had experts guiding us, allowing us to see a little bit further into what we maybe don't want to see or recognize, but hiring and searching for that expert or that friend or that colleague who's just a little bit ahead of you to shine some light. Asking for help is something that, as entrepreneurs, is hard for us to do.
Yeah.
But it's very necessary. So thank you for that, Sonia. Thank you so much for being here today in the Rooted in Worth podcast. Stay tuned for the next one.